Welcome back to the Transfer Portal CFB presented by No Context CFB. Did y'all know that week 0 happened this weekend and it's already over? Kind of unfortunate, man. A little bittersweet. Week 0 is already in the books, but we got a whole lot of week 1 stuff to look forward to in a few days. So that's sick. But this is the week 0 recap. There were a handful of games, some FCS versus FCS clashes as well that I don't think we're really going to touch on, unfortunately. We're going to focus on the FBS mostly today and what went down. Some history was made. A few freshman sensations broke out. We got some good stuff to talk about. Bryce with me today, as well as Karan. Excited to just talk some ball with you. It's been a long time since we've been able to just go over games and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, no, that's been a while, but that was a pretty good week 0 slate. A lot of entertaining games.
Yeah, I mean, to have no college football and then, at least a little taste. I mean, I got some goosebumps Saturday as Notre Dame Navy was kicking off. I mean, I'm partially, biased there with being a Notre Dame fan, but I was standing as the game was kicking off. I wasn't seated on my couch. I was pretty excited for some games to kick off, and I know that's just a taste for what's going to happen this coming week starting on Thursday.
Yeah, so we'll go game by game for the FBS stuff, and then we'll do some player stuff and coach maybe stuff later on at the end. But for now, yeah, you mentioned it, Notre Dame Navy. It was lopsided. I'm not sure how you say it in Irish, but that was not a close game in the slightest, Bryce. What do you see from an Irish perspective? A fighting Irish
I think
perspective, rather.
Yeah, I think it was just total domination, at least up front on the offensive line. I mean, everybody knows about Joe Alt, but them having two new starting guards to come in and just pretty much part the wide open seas for Audric Estime and anybody else that was handed the ball, and then to keep Sam Hartman clean and actually look like Notre Dame has a a quarterback that knows what he's doing back there. It seemed like the offense was firing on all cylinders right away, and I don't want to pump up the hype too much from Notre Dame at all, but this is just week 0 and Navy's defense, which was I think pretty good defensively against the rush last year, held the same Notre Dame team under I think 100 yards rushing last year. Notre Dame nearly rushes for 200 yards this year. I think is offensively a good start, and then the defense pretty much just shut down that new look triple option from Navy this year. And I think that is probably credit to what the guys did up front and in the linebacking core. Those guys were all over the place yesterday, and it was just total domination on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, Kaiser's a really good player in their linebacking core, and I looked up the Irish word for domination, for Lamah. For Lamha, however you say it. I should know that as a big ginger and everything, but I'm sorry to all the Irish people that don't like that. Karan, thoughts?
I mean, Notre Dame, you can't really take away a ton. Navy's not a great matchup. Sam Hartman had a very efficient passing performance. He showed a bit of what he can do and a bit of why he's so much better than their previous quarterbacks. Audric Estime, as we said, he was running everywhere. But I think it all comes back to the offensive line. You've got two tackles who are probably NFL bound between Joe Alt and Blake Fisher, and then solid depth inside. I think that's going to be the backbone of this Notre Dame team. And as far as they go, I think it relies on how good their offensive line plays.
Yeah, let's start the Joe Alt for Heisman campaign. I'm not afraid to start it, man. If he plays at an extremely elite level, let's do it. I don't. You can throw the quarterback stuff away. Come on.
I'm in
on that, Karan.
I'm all for it, man.
Oh, okay. You sound very hesitant.
Nah, I'm all for it.
All right, Blake Fisher also just criminally underrated.
Blake Fisher's a dog. Yeah, I think he could be a first round pick.
He's gotta be. I flirted with the idea of I think I had it in my way too early mock and then not my my magazine mock, but he's gotta be in that conversation. I think someone else that we saw really good flashes from was Jeremiah Love. Estime kind of got benched there for a little after his fumble, and Love and Price and Payne all kind of came in, pitched in. Love flashed like really, really good stuff. He had 4 carries, 40 yards. pretty good stuff behind great offensive line. Navy team was it's definitely sinking and all, but Love's going to be one heck of a player. He's someone that people need to get very high on. And just, Jay Greathouse was a key part of that vertical passing game for Notre Dame, which Sam Hartman's going to love doing. We saw Wake Forest. He loves going vertical with it. So that was good to see a guy like Greathouse break out. And not maybe breakout's not the word, but show up in a big way in a snoozer of a game and just get some good tape out there, good reps, and show that we might not be as good as Wake Forest receiving core, but we still got the guys that could do the job. As for Navy, I don't know how much you guys want to touch on it on their side.
They came out pretty hot, honestly. Their first drive, they were running it up, which they usually do with the wing T triple option. But they came out there, on fourth down, they went for it. Realistically, they could have scored if the receivers didn't run into each other.
It was also tough. It was also tough that the throw went perfectly in between.
It was.
It was a very fun offense to watch. Like the new stuff that Chestnut was implementing and everything. Like it was just a joy to watch. I'm excited to see how Navy progresses as the season goes on and gets better. Dan and I were saying it. We're both pretty optimistic about Navy this season. Obviously before the 42-3 loss, but optimistic about it. We think that they could do some work in the AAC and pick a few teams off and get a bowl. But that Navy team, they got worked, and I think that should have been expected in their debut of that offense. And no, Notre Dame wasn't losing in Ireland. That was never going to be close.
I think Newberry needs to be more aggressive, though. I mean, I know he wasn't trying to go for the shutout, but put it all on the line. And I think there was a time where early in the first half they decided to go for the field goal and I think missed it. And when you're already down 3 touchdowns in the first half, I mean, try going for touchdowns instead of field goals. Maybe be a little bit more aggressive in that manner. And try not to be so conservative and kind of not get shut out. But I mean, I know that's what you're kind of afraid of, especially in the opening week. But I think maybe just be a little bit more aggressive. I mean, I know they're outmanned and outmatched in pretty much every area on the field, but I think in that regard they could have been a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah, I know there are people unhappy that they kicked it to make it a 42-3 game. The whole Chris Paul cuts it to 42 meme, but I'm okay with that. I think at least getting your kicker a look and at least building his confidence a little is kind of important. I don't know. Well, I don't recall exactly what yard line they were on, but you're having it
was a 31-yard field goal.
Okay, so math that. Was that 14 or something? I have no clue. I'm not a math guy. So you're having to go out there and put I don't know, the offense has to put a play on tape that you might want to save for a more important situation in the season. I
don't think it really matters. In terms of Notre Dame's offensive coordinator, Tommy Rees left Alabama, so they had Gerard Parker making his debut. He called a pretty good game, attacked the seams a lot with Hartman.
Mm-hmm. I like Notre Dame's scheme. Yes, yeah. Saturday, it was pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, and I don't even know if we really saw a whole lot of what they're going to do.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Because they didn't target the tight end at all, and that was pretty much their whole passing attack last year under Tommy Rees. Now, obviously, you upgrade at the wide receiver position, and you mentioned Greathouse and Deion Colsey played well. Rico Flores, another freshman, got in there and played. So I don't even think we saw the full extent. They kind of did what they had to do just to kind of finish that game off, and they knew they could take advantage of Navy in the run game and with some passes to the wide receiver over the top with Greathouse and a couple of other guys. So I don't even know if we saw the full extent, and obviously you really don't in week 0 or the first couple of weeks, but I think there's definitely room for this offense to grow.
Mm-hmm. And we'll see how they fare against mighty Tennessee State next week. Next game we'll talk about UTEP Jacksonville State. Karan, I want to start with you, man.
Jacksonville State, man. I mean, I wrote about them in the magazine, so I know a lot more about them than probably 99% of people, but I did also pick them in the stinkers draft. So
yep.
I win either way, let's just say. But they had a phenomenal debut. They came out there, they beat UTEP on both sides of the ball. They ran the ball well, and their defense was spectacular. So I mean, yeah, it was a great debut. You couldn't have really asked for much more from Jacksonville State.
Yeah, their pass rush was gang after really
Yeah.
early on against UTEP, like a pretty solid UTEP offensive line. So that was really surprising. And UTEP really just they never clicked. Gavin Hardison showed flashes of why he's legit gonna get like NFL looks because his arm doesn't make sense. The throw that he made
Yeah,
on
that
the
touchdown
touchdown,
was crazy.
it should have been a touchdown to Kelly Akurihi, I think is how you say it. I'm not sure, I could be saying that wrong, but drops it. That throw was an absolute missile, man. And I thought that the lack of involvement with Tyron Smith in the offense was very surprising. And I have to imagine he's quite unhappy considering he could have been playing at A&M or another Power 5 this season. And he goes out there and gets 5 catches for 38 yards and opens his season with a loss at Jacksonville State. Gotta imagine the Tyron Smith camp is pretty sour right now. And I don't know, like there was no good takeaways from Utah.
I mean, yeah, once you look past Hardison's like occasional good throw, the turnovers were really backbreaking for them. Hardison had a fumble lost and 2 interceptions. And then, yeah, I just felt like they underutilized their skill players to the extent that we typically see them do.
Yeah, I think the thing that was most impressive was with me was when is what you might kind of mention, Karan, that with the offense and defensive lines, they didn't get pushed around, and that's the kind of thing you worry about going from FCS to FBS, and they kind of got a push on offense. They were moving UTEP back a few yards down the field when they were running the ball. I thought the running game was pretty effective. Zion Webb, I don't know how many guys he overthrew in that game. It felt like at least 7 or 8, and he threw them at what felt like 100 miles an hour each time. But I still,
That's the Zion experience.
I know. There was a couple, there was a couple of guys yesterday that couldn't rein it in and were throwing their fastball every single time. But I think overall from Jacksonville State and Rich Rod getting that first win, I think definitely means a lot for where that program is going to go this year.
Yeah, and I mean not to rub like salt in the wound for UTEP, but Jacksonville State starting running back Anwar Lewis, arguably one of their best players, didn't even play, and they still lost. So I mean, that could say a lot about how much Jacksonville State could improve with him or UTEP's defense.
Dude, we saw Logan Smothers like appearance.
Yeah.
Well, that was insane to see. And on the final play of the game, Jeremiah Harris gets that interception, and UTEP's down 3. They have 3rd and 1 on whatever yard line it was. Take the end zone shot deep, and then the next play, they went for Tyron Smith on like a pick play in the flat, and it was there, but the pick was so bad, and everybody just ran into each other like a car crash. And the throw was just laid, and Harris just picks off pretty easily. And if Harris didn't make the instinctive play of going to track down Smith there, that's probably a touchdown because ain't nobody else nobody else was going over to Smith there.
Yeah, it felt like that play took longer to develop than what a normal kind of pick play takes, and it just took forever. And then obviously it gives the defenders time to get over there and make that play. But I think on the 3rd and 1 play, I think that was it felt like very similar to the play they scored the touchdown earlier to get that game within 1 score. It looked like it might have been the same type of route. But yeah, that whole sequence kind of just felt like botched towards the end.
Yeah, I just feel like it's 3rd and 1, man. Just go get that yard, secure the yard, and then take some shots to the end zone, or at least like chunk it and just put yourself in a better spot. Again, it's week 0. There were a lot of questionable calls and plenty of the games yesterday. Even one of the questionable calls was, I'm looking for the picture I tweeted out of it, was UTEP, and it was around midfield. Where is this picture, man? I want to get the exact situation.
Did you guys see that play of Colby Fuqua on Jacksonville State's defense? He like jumped offside. They got the free play, and then he tripped over the flag and gave up like a 30-yard completion. I thought they were in for a long game after that, but they were able to recover.
It was 4th and 3, 8 minutes left in the first quarter. There's a game, and UTEP like bunched everyone up. It looked like the old hide the little guy play and then just snap it and hand it off to him for an end around that goes deep, but they didn't have anybody little there. It was all big guys. Like 17 is in that picture is a tight end. I that play call was so bad.
They ran that last year as a like trick
But
pass, like Cardis
in the New Mexico Bowl
through the pop pass. Yeah, so I guess I mean,
and it was just a
State was
different.
watching film.
It was a different look this year where they were trying to go on the flat,
Yeah.
and I believe it was the tight end who kind of got held and whatever. But like I see that and I'm thinking, I don't know why my brain works the way it does. I'm thinking Hardison takes a snap, puts the ball through his legs, and we're taking this as an end around up the sideline, helps in that thing. But
risky.
we didn't share the same vision. But again, impressive win for Jacksonville State. Welcome to the FBS. Average weight of their defensive line 271 pounds. UTEP's offensive line 307.
Yeah.
Good showing for Jalen Swain and the fellas.
Yeah, J-Rock did his thing.
Did Kyron Samuels too? Big shout out to Kyron, happy camper there.
Yeah.
So his phone was blowing up like crazy after that. The next game was UMass, New Mexico State. The Sickos Committee Super Bowl went off the rails in the fourth quarter. We got bageled. None of us had UMass winning. They won.
UMass, the first overall pick in the Slippers draft. No comment on who took him, but or who took them.
That's a tough pick, man. That
Yeah,
stinker's got 100%
it was a tough weekend for me, but regardless, they put up a good fight. A lot of people, being me, thought they would be the worst team in the country, and they look slightly better than that. Their rushing game was really good.
Do you possibly want to say who the worst team in the country is now?
Nah, you can have that one.
You don't want to say it?
I'm not conceding. I don't even have a take on this matter, but
dude. Any thoughts on the UMass and MSU game, Bryce?
Yeah, I thought what Karan mentioned, and is that Tyson Fumachan? Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
He was all over the place, especially running the ball. And obviously he had some stops at some Power 5 schools before, and I think that it was definitely the running game that kind of put this game away. Never really had New Mexico State kind of get back into that or even make it close down the stretch. Kind of maybe a disappointing start after a great season first year under Jerry Kill. I think maybe Dylan kind of pumped them up a little bit too much coming into this year. He's all in on them, and he and
a good bit of others were pumping the New Mexico State hype train a lot.
Yeah.
Diego Pavia is a good player, and I think that kind of drove most of it.
Some are saying he was seeing ghosts by a Jordan Mahoney led secondary.
It was rough, but yeah, I mean Tyson had a nice game. He didn't really get a fair rep at Clemson. I mean, I remember he recovered from like an ACL was in like 2 months or something. It was just not really. It wasn't really working there. But UMass, I think this is a good spot for him. He's pretty much the heart of the offense, both rushing and passing, and he's got talent. I mean, he was a pretty highly rated high school recruit.
Yeah, we even saw Eli Stowers making an appearance for New Mexico State. Some of these names that we're seeing play some college football finally is kind of wild. Some are saying, not me, some are saying the big game boomer curse might be a thing. New Mexico State hosts them at the game. They're 0-1. Some are saying it.
New Mexico State hosted Big Game Boomer.
You did see it. He got like a shirt that said "Guns Up, Big Game Boomer" or something. It was crazy. They had a shirt for him and everything. They were tweeting.
I think I saw a tweet. Yeah, I saw the tweet.
They were tweeting about him off their football account so much. It was nuts. Good for him that he got that hype, but golly, some are saying if he's doing his own game day tour, there might be a Big Game Boomer curse.
I'm happy for him though.
That is pretty sick for him, man. And New Mexico State seems like a really fun place to catch a game.
Yeah, I mean, if they're not going to wear those ponchos that they wore coming into the game, I'll take one. They seem seem pretty
You
sick,
might
but
have to retire
they
the poncho after
they
going
might.
own one.
That's why I'll take one. Just send one my way. You guys don't have
On
to
some kids in
wear them
Africa
anymore.
wearing those.
Yeah.
Oh no,
Yeah.
like the lost Super Bowl team.
Yeah.
Ohio San Diego State was a very somber
Yeah,
out. That
that one
was
got turned off at halftime.
turned. Oh, okay, I understand why, but this one really hurt my heart, man. So I'll let you guys talk about first.
I mean, between watching San Diego State's offense is already like enough punishment, but then when Curtis Rourke goes out and pretty much like what the first 10, 15 minutes of the game, he started off 8 of 10, 75 yards. He was looking really good, but I think they rushed him back and that showed.
It very early on, I noticed him favoring his leg quite a bit. He wasn't moving up in the pocket. He wasn't just moving in the pocket at all. And that's something we know from both he and his brother.
Yeah, they're both pretty
mobile.
mobile. And
yeah, Nathan's a lot better of it, but Curtis has grown so much in that department in his career, and he couldn't move, man. So
yeah,
he's favoring it so much.
It was pretty apparent there, and I mean, I'm a big Curtis Rourke fan. You're a big Curtis Rourke fan. I think actually, I'm not going to say, but I think he is the more complete quarterback as compared to his brother. Yeah,
he's more NFL ready right now than
I
Nathan
agree,
ever was while he was at Ohio, which is such high praise.
And Nathan's the greatest preseason quarterback of all time. So.
No, so like it just. I completely feel like they did rush Curtis back into it, and all we heard about was he's progressing so well ahead of everything, and he's going to be right, and it's going to be great. And it's just, I was favoring the legs so much, man. And I respect Ohio a lot. I respect them even more for not playing him back in that game. Curtis wanted to go back in there so badly. He's very upset they didn't get to play, but they made the right decision. What is the point of him playing in this week 0 non-conference game against San Diego State? Hypothetically, if Ohio were to go 12-0 or 11-1, tell me right now, does a member of the College Football Playoff Committee voter actually care about the one loss or not? They don't know. They'd be ranked like 17th or whatever anyway. So making sure his health is good is all the importance, man.
Yeah, it's a puzzling decision because you're also taking reps away from CJ Harris, who didn't really he looked kind of out of place when he came in. 3 interceptions.
He didn't look ready right from the start.
Yeah,
he looked like the deer in the headlights kind of looked, and I mean, it wasn't very good for Ohio at all.
Yeah, so I have my take is I thought their drives with Curtis looked really good. That offense looked lethal. They looked scary. They were doing it against a very good San Diego State defense, like moving the ball at will. And then when CJ comes in, I'm not sure why it became such a pass-happy attack. You have C.A. Bangura, you have O'Shawn Allison, you have CJ Harrison, his legs as well, and he's just not that like level of passer. I don't understand why they like freaked out and went pass happy. They even had a lead and just 6-3 lead, and they're just throwing the ball so much. Like, get it to Bangura, at least get it to him in the short passing game. I didn't understand their game plan. And then when they did have looks in the receiving game, or in the passing game rather, CJ was overthrowing. He had Sam Wiglusz wide open for a touchdown, and Wiglusz had to dive for it and couldn't get it. It was tough to watch, man. They should have won that game regardless of Harris being in there. Like, I felt like they should have been the better team, man.
Yeah, but in terms of San Diego State, who won the game, I think.
They did.
Mark Redmond was the standout on offense. He's a great tight end, one of the better ones in the country.
Do you see that?
These tight ends doing gritties need to be like banned. It's actually abysmal.
He thanked me for posting his gritty.
That's dope. But yeah, 2 touchdowns from him, 62 yards. Yeah, great game.
The tight end is always open. It was good. I thought it was a really good showing for Jalen Maiden, aside from throwing the ball at the ref's face. I thought Maiden did exactly what we needed to see from him. The defense it showed out, albeit against Ohio's backup quarterback. The defense shows out. Maiden he just had to be competent, take what the defense is giving him, run the ball at a decent level, and just get the off. Like their offense was it was solid.
Yeah, I mean, Maiden at this point in his career, he knows where to get the ball, and he's come along as a passer enough to where it works. He can make he can play an efficient football game, and you're seeing it now. I think he'll be able to get through the season, have a solid year.
Yeah, I thought the game plan was solid. I think you might have tweeted something out, Liam, that he's another one of those guys that throws the ball 100 miles an hour no matter what. But I felt like their rushing attack against Ohio's defense I thought was pretty solid, and felt like that could be something that they could lean on and be pretty efficient through the rest of the year.
Cody Moon was everywhere. He was everywhere.
Yeah.
He's so good, so underrated. New Zealand Williams, member the all-name team, getting the game-sealing interception, and San Diego State. That was a weird one. Their 4th and 3-ish call there.
Yeah, they handed Ohio a really good chance
they
at winning
gave
the
him
game.
a gift.
I thought it was over, but
all in all, though, for Ohio, when Harris came in, it reminded me a lot of the MAC championship against Toledo, where it felt like everything just so deflated, and now it didn't feel like, I don't know, man. They showed a lot of grit and everything, which is good to see. And I think that there's a lot of good lessons to take away. But the game reminded me like the MAC championship last year. And both San Diego State's going to be a better team than I thought. They'll be a really good team. Again, I think the Mountain West is going to be a lot of teams eating each other alive. But I thought this was a really quality Week 0 matchup, even though it didn't go the way it should. Rourke shouldn't get hurt, but that's my dad's fault for witnessing the last 3 plays in Curtis Rourke's career, and he's gotten her on the first and the third one. So not good, Markey. Not good. The Rourkes could probably sue us. That's not good either.
Wouldn't even put it out there.
Okay, don't sue us. Okay, can we at least talk about Sam Wiglusz? What a game he had. Yeah. Sam's got to get a shine.
Yeah.
I mean, what he's going to do with a healthy Curtis Rourke, man. Oh, shoot. Actually, I'm sorry. There's 1,000 things I want to talk about with Ohio. Tyler Walton looked really good at receiver, too. Like, that was not a guy.
Who won this game if you're
you would never believe it. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm such a Maction guy. I'm a Mountain West guy, too, but I'm such an Ohio guy. Tyler Walton looked really, really good for the Bucs. Okay.
Yeah, he had a good game out of the backfield.
He had 6 grabs for 55 yards, and just, I think they said, I could be wrong. I think they said he was a East LA transfer. I could be completely wrong there. Actually, could just be mistaking that for another player. He is definitely.
He's been at Ohio for 4 years.
He's been there for so long. Well, I'm hearing ghosts. We'll move on.
He's been at Ohio since 2018.
Yeah, I just that was me hearing ghosts of Tim Brando saying a member of San Diego State from East LA. Louisiana Tech FIU was one of the most uninspiring performances I've ever seen on both sides of the ball from both teams. That was
the worst passing performance I think I've ever seen.
I think that you could say that this was the worst game of the season. It doesn't matter what happens the rest of the year. This was awful in every sense of the word. Every phase of the game, this was terrible.
I mean, Shamari Lawrence, credit where credit is due. 15 carries for 139 yards. He put that offense on his back.
He was sick. That's a Coyotes transfer right there. He was a really good player, and he looked really good. But he's like, again, the Bugatti in the trailer park meme. Like, that's him there. It's bad.
Yeah. FIU quarterback Grayson James finished 5 of 14, 4 yards, 1 interception, 5 QBR. It was just that was one of the worst passing performances ever, like undeniably.
Yeah, I wrote the preview for both of these teams, and I honestly thought that Louisiana Tech was gonna blow them out of the water. I thought FIU was probably gonna be one of the worst teams in college football coming into this year, and they still might be. But
they are.
They are. Yeah, that was, as you mentioned, horrendous. As far as passing attack, and I was stunned when Lawrence broke off that touchdown first quarter, I was like, wow, that's not what I expected at all. But and Louisiana Tech, I thought Hank Bachmeier was going to look better, maybe just because he had the weapons to do it. But and there were some flashes with Smoke Harris and Cyrus Allens, but it just wasn't very consistent, and I was expecting more.
Yeah, the thing with Hank is like on paper, he sounds like such a great quarterback. His win-loss record is phenomenal, but then you actually watch the on-field product and it's never there. I mean, he looks experienced. He looks like he can move the ball for this Louisiana Tech team, but there's not really much to write home about.
He could not get the ball to Cyrus Allen to save his life.
Yeah, this game was pretty much two players offensively, Smoke Harris and Shamar Lawrence.
But Lawrence is going to be so good, man. It's such a shame he's at FIU. It feels like when Chambers was there last year and they had nobody else. I guess they had Rivaldo too, but like, golly, man. That as someone who watched a lot more FIU than one human should in their entire life last season, Grayson James is still a better option at quarterback than the other two guys that they rolled out last season. Like it's that dreadful of a situation at FIU. It's that dire. They might need a kid to walk on and like just show, like the old Mike Leach takes the kid kicking at the contest at Texas Tech and makes him the kicker. Like
there's some guys that aren't on rosters right now that are significantly better than Grayson James.
So
Chance Nolan comes to mind. He's not on TCU's roster anymore.
Is it like McIntyre politics here? Because there's just no way that you could go into this. No, like Grayson's a good kid too, man. But like, you can't go into a season with that product. Like, how do you not look to upgrade? Does nobody want to come play in Miami?
No, I don't think so. And I don't think their offensive line is not very
No,
good.
It's not either. It was shocking. You said it was shocking when Shamari got loose, and I can't believe that the offensive line paved the way like that.
Yeah, that was like a wide open hole, and I was like, "Holy crap!" And because their best two offensive linemen both transferred out before after last season, and I thought this offensive line is going to be horrible, and they still ended up not performing very well yesterday, but except for a few runs for Shamari. But yeah, it was not fun. I mean, I don't even know how Louisiana Tech ended up coming back in that game.
So,
I mean, it's
wild though, because like FIU couldn't pass like literally to save their life, and they still were winning for most of that game. ESPN's win probability counter had them at an 80% probability at one point.
So I wanted to bring that up was because I used the word uninspiring to describe every facet of the game for both teams here. And yes, Louisiana Tech, they had their top two running backs, including Marquise Crosby, who was that team's best player in my opinion.
Yeah.
But there's no takeaway here that like there's nothing good to take away. Like this was a team that we're thinking year two under Cumbie, they could maybe make something happen. The defense just has to be a little better. The offense is going to be there. That was a dumpster fire. They play at SMU next. They're going to get smoked by Preston Stone because, by the way, for a team that only gave up 17 points and held the opposing quarterback to 4 passing yards, that defense looked every bit as bad as last year's defense. It still looked garbage, which is a huge indictment on FIU and that offense.
Yeah, giving up 17 points.
18 yards in the second half. Like 18 yards is what FIU had in the second half.
But like this should have been a game where Louisiana Tech wins like 44-7.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was going to be.
I'm very worried about Louisiana Tech, man.
Yeah, I am too. That was a dreadful first performance.
That is, I don't know, dude. Again, that's going to be a contender for worst game of the year. Win an SB or something. Hawaii Vandy. Oh shoot, yeah,
that game was lit, man.
Hawaii Vandy was actually good stuff. Karan victory lapping and the Hawaii loss.
I had a blast watching that game. I watched all of it.
It was a great game.
Yeah, I mean Hawaii to start with. Look, even though they lost, I mean they look so much better than last year.
This is gonna This is gonna be another one of the ones where you talk more about Hawaii than the
Okay,
lost.
Okay. Yeah,
No,
Hawaii
it's good though.
Yeah.
Hawaii looked a lot better, but I mean Vanderbilt, no shots were done. They had a great game. AJ Swan, we can start with. He looked lights out for the most part. 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He was stretching the field, throwing deep posts. He had a
line of
nice ball on the
scrimmage throw.
run. Yeah, AJ Swan, he put up impressive numbers last year, 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions as a true freshman. But I think he could take a big step this year, even if Vanderbilt's kind of bottom of the SEC still.
Yeah, I feel like that was a game where both teams showed that they have a competent quarterback, especially with Hawaii and Schrager and him just bombing it down the field. And I think he showed off, what a good quarterback, an improved quarterback can do for that team after what they kind of endured last year, especially in this specific game last year where Vandy just rolled over them in the second half last year at Hawaii. But it felt like it was maybe I think a much different story, and it could have trended that way early on. But credit to Hawaii coming back in this game and making it pretty fun to watch towards the end.
Yeah, that Swan Shepherd combo is going to be disgusting all year long. And I think for Vandy's rushing game, Cedric Alexander only got like 2 carries or something. I would count the ball more, man.
Yeah, no, Vandy's got some stuff to work with though. I was impressed with their performance. Obviously, I mean, a lot of people projected Hawaii to only win like 1 or 2 games this year. But it was a tough battle for them. They earned that win.
Well, let's talk about the losing team here that had a lot of good things to take away from. And I want to start with this. You take your victory laps on Hawaii. We could both take it on saying that ain't the worst team in the Mountain West. They are not at all.
I felt like they underused Tylen Hines out of the backfield, but otherwise, I mean, the receiving game, Stephen McBride transferred from Kansas, had 2 touchdowns. Shager, I mean, he was phenomenal. He was stretching the field. We talked about this yesterday, but I mean, how many quarterbacks in the Mountain West can we say are confidently better than Braden Shager?
There's not many. It's really like
it's like 3 or 4.
Talon, Doug, and then
Cordero. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I honestly probably like going Shager before Cordero.
I think he's a better passer, but Cordero,
he was throwing some dimes, dude.
Yeah.
Like that. Some of his vertical throws off the sideline were just filthy.
Yeah, no, he was all over the place. I think it's kind of like it's unfortunate that he's ended up on Hawaii because with how much football he's played, imagine if he was playing on like an actual, let's say like a Fresno State or something. I mean, FIU, he'd probably be balling out too.
Fresno State, that was the exact thought I had last night.
Yeah,
I don't remember if I said
Fresno
that.
State, I think he's the best quarterback.
I don't remember if I said that in our group chat, if I said it to my brother, but if he was on Fresno State, that team, I'd be so much higher on that team. But other takeaways from Hawaii, you talk about their receiving game, like
the receiving game, they brought in Stephen McBride from Kansas. He put up a good performance. Ashlock, he was stretching the field. There's a lot to like there, honestly.
Yeah, Timmy Chang's he's actually cooking.
He might be. On defense, there's work to be done, but Isaiah Tufaga, he was all over the place that game at linebacker. Peter Manuma, I'm a big fan of him. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the country. There's pieces there, Verdell Edwards as well. It's all coming together. I don't know if it's going to be a complete product in the next year or 2, but I think they'll eventually be back to contending.
I want to put you on the spot right now. Look at Hawaii's schedule. Give me the wins. And I think I want you to start with their upcoming game.
Oh, the Hawaii versus Stanford, that could be a shootout. I'm not going to say who I think is going to win, but that could be a fun game.
Do you know the spread? What do you think the spread there is?
Stanford 3.5.
Stanford -5.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean they'll beat them. Albany, New Mexico State, I think Hawaii beats.
Have to beat them.
New Mexico, perhaps. And I think they could steal a conference game. Just that's not a New Mexico.
San Jose State, maybe. Colorado State,
San Diego State, perhaps. Nevada, they'll win. Yeah, it's looking good for Hawaii this year. 4
What's that
wins might be
looking?
achievable.
Any other takeaways from that game, Bryce?
I love that Taichung used the point spread as motivation. I thought that was kind of a little refreshing. You know, coaches actually going in saying we are. I mean, I'm assuming that it's said a lot more than what we hear. You know that we're there this many, but to go being detailed and like we're 17.5 point underdogs. Like I don't want to throw any investigations on Hawaii. Like they have money on the game. We're not talking an Iowa State situation here. Like, but I found it I found it fun that he was using the point spread as motivation for this game.
I don't know how many coaches like use that or pay attention to it. So it was pretty refreshing to hear that. But hey man, we know from Iowa and Iowa State, and we know from a lot of other stuff, players are pretty aware of what the point spread is in this day and age.
Yeah.
We'll move on again. Vandy, it's going to be a little while before they have the number one team in the nation per Clark Lee. Hawaii, though, things really are looking up, and I'm excited to see what Shager could do. Ashlock, like, they have something there too. Like, he was a redshirt freshman. They're cooking. We didn't even talk about Cam Stone, who I know got hurt in that game, but and that's not a good piece that they have. But San Jose State USC, nobody could watch this game yet. Everyone was talking about one player in particular who was trending on a Pac 12 network game that 70 people were watching. That doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really Zachariah Branch. You can't go without mentioning him first. He was.
That's who I was mentioning.
That was. I know. I was leading off of that. He was insane. I mean, I was watching that, and the first thing that came to my mind was like, they got another Percy Harvin, man. Like that, he was crazy.
So my brother has been hyping up he and his brother for I don't know how many years. It might have been since they were playing Pop Warner in like elementary school, like Friday Night Tyke situation or something. He's been talking them up for so long, and like both of them were supposed to go to Ohio State or whatever, end up at SC. And he's been saying he's going to get like just the Tyreek Hill comps are going to be endless, and it's so annoying. But you know, we know where it goes. So I think it was kind of refreshing. I guess I still hate player comps and everything, but to hear a different comp and it'd be Percy Harvin was pretty cool.
Yeah, he had a great game. I mean,
And
yeah, I'm interested to see how they use him. We didn't see that much of like their other weapons. Singer had a touchdown, but really they were kind of foot off the gas for the most part.
so one thing that I noticed with Branch was he's like listed at 5'10" or whatever. He looks pretty dang tall. Like he looks like a tall 5'10". He's very lean. Like he has a really good build. And
he's got long arms and long legs.
Yes,
so.
the strides that he's taking are ridiculous.
Yeah, man. I think John Rivers said it best. That was the greatest football player of all time.
What about Caleb Williams chucking that ball downfield? And I think it was intended for Dorian Singer, but then Taj Washington just came over and took it to the house.
Yeah, I mean, Caleb had a good game. I feel like with Caleb, he could have like a great game, but then it's still some plays are hard to watch because he's just trying to do like the greatest play of all time every single play.
Yeah, that's the one to take away. You know, obviously he did that a lot last year, and he did, you know, that what's kind of what made him special and have some of those moments last year, extending plays and just running around, kind of backyard kind of type football. But I felt like that was probably the one thing that you could maybe criticize him for that he's still kind of doing.
So something I wanted to bring up was they played other quarterbacks. Miller Moss went out there and had a really good throw downfield to Deuce, I believe. Like they even got Deuce in there. They got Quentin Joyner in there. They were getting in some of their younger guys, and Miller Moss is obviously
Miller Moss is like he's good, and
he's putting out tape.
My somewhat hot take is that last year when Caleb Williams got injured against Utah, I mean, if Miller Moss came into that game, I think they have a pretty decent chance of winning. He's a really good passer.
I think we could be looking at future BYU quarterback Miller Moss. I'll say
It's possible.
said last night in the group channel. But there's some other things here with USC before we move on to the San Jose State side. There is a reason why Karan was in the Pac-12 preview with me. You and I were lower on them than a lot of other people. Do you want to tell the people why we're low on SC?
The Grinch, man. The Grinch stole Christmas. The Grinch stole Christmas
The
yesterday.
Grinch stole pass coverage and ugh.
Yeah, I mean the defense led by Alex Grinch, defensive coordinator, it was bad. Start of the game, it was really looking like San Jose State could make something special happen there. Siobhan Cordero converted like 2 3rd and 30s. It was
The Nick Nash
they gave
legacy
the run
game.
game. Yeah, Nick Nash converted quarterback, 3 touchdowns. He was looking like Randy Moss out there. Siobhan Cordero, yeah.
Imagine if Justin Lockhart actually played because he didn't play in that game for him. Could have been looking at 56-42.
Yeah, I think a lot of even their best defensive plays were just Cordero running backwards 10 yards and then eating a sack. It wasn't really like they had a couple. Eric Gentry had a nice game before he went out with an injury, but otherwise there wasn't much to fall in love with there.
It's extremely worrying for USC that's the defense that they put out there, and that's the product that Lincoln Riley continues to have. Like this is why I'm so much lower on Lincoln than other people, because he's okay with this product. He's okay playing buddy ball again, Grinch's money, and putting this out there. This team is not better than Washington if that's the defense that you want out there.
Yeah, I mean it's overplayed usually to talk about how a team isn't tough, like they're not physical, but this is really like look no further than USC in terms of how much that can actually affect like the on-field performance.
Oh my
there's no physicality. They don't like to tackle. It's just it's not fun.
Could you imagine FIU versus SC's defense?
No.
Imagine Grayson James throws for 400 against SC's defense.
I mean, last year they gave up a couple. I think about I always think back to that Chance Nolan 4 interception game. Like that has to be considering the defense he played against.
Dude, I don't know, man. But I'm very worried about that defense.
Yeah, it's bad, especially as you mentioned, you're worried about it, especially the quarterbacks that they're going to be facing the rest of the year. And obviously, I think the first half of their schedule, if you look at it, it's nothing until they play, Notre Dame, and then they start to play, Washington and those other bigger, better programs in the Pac-12. It's just this. I'm right up there with you guys. Obviously, I wasn't on the preview, but until this defense improves even marginally and it plays a different, a little bit more physically, a team is not going to compete on a national level. It's not going to be playoff worthy at all.
Yeah. I mean, no offense to Cordero and Nash, but if you're looking at USC's schedule, Shadur to Travis Hunter, Arizona's quarterback to both Jacob Cowing and the big guy, Tenerife McMillan. Yeah, Notre Dame, Sam Hartman, even Cal, Sam Jackson to Jeremiah Hunter, Penix to Rome, and
Jaden Rashada to Elijah Badger.
Perhaps. And the tight end Conyers is pretty good. But
Sam
Oregon,
Jackson to Jeremiah Hunter.
Next to Troy Franklin, Dante Moore to J. Michael Sturdivant. Like I don't know. It's not fun to think about.
They're getting it carved so badly.
Yeah.
Also, the effort level was not there for multiple players, including the ever so coveted Bear Alexander.
He got pancaked on the first touchdown.
What a disgrace of a performance that was. There's multiple plays where he was just a complete and utter non-factor. And it, again, makes you wonder how this is the product that they're comfortable putting out there and how a guy like Corey Foreman isn't getting on the field a lot more. Like, I don't know, man.
There's at least 4 players I can name off the top of my head on USC's defense, so I genuinely don't think tackling, contact, or want anything to do with it.
Name them.
Kalen Bullock,
yep,
signed last year.
All-American, by the way.
Eric Gentry cannot tackle. Bear Alexander wasn't very
He
very
ran away from the
inspiring.
ball quite often. Yeah.
Eric Gentry, yeah, I'm thinking back to the Utah game for the most part, but yeah, Eric Gentry can't hit, and I mean, I don't know. There's a couple of new candidates. Domani Jackson, he's a great player in coverage, but I don't know.
Zion Branch is going to need to get a lot more
Yeah,
run. They
he
might need to
is.
be ignited on the. While Zachariah is doing this thing on offense, Zion's going to need to be out there on defense and help like inject something into that defense because it's one of the most pathetic displays of I don't know, man. It's terrible. It's terrible. I don't know how you could be higher on this team in Washington. I just don't get it. It blows my mind.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see, but it's not. I just don't see how it could possibly get much better on defense.
Well, on to closing this thing out. Most impressive performance you saw in week 0.
Um, yeah, you can
Go
go.
ahead. Oh,
Yeah,
okay. I think that for me, it was probably the Notre Dame offensive line. And just what they were able to do, opening wide open holes for any running back that touched the ball. I think Sam Hartman stayed clean the entire time. So that was probably the most impressive performance, from start to finish for me as far as a unit and as far as a team as well, and how they dominated on both sides of the ball.
yeah, I'll go with AJ Swan. We talked about him at Vanderbilt. He showed everything you want to see from a guy entering his true sophomore year. He has some experience under his belt, and it really showed. Strong arm, making throws off platform. He's got a good connection with the receivers. I think the sky's the limit for him, whether it be at Vanderbilt or if he ends up transferring down the line.
Yeah, I went with the kind of obvious pick of Zachariah Branch. Ignited all of social media despite a Pac-12 Network game that nobody could watch. That says a lot, especially when you're playing with the reigning Heisman winner, that you're able to garner that amount of attention on just like 4 catches, a few kick returns, and 1 carry. Every touch that this guy had was must-see TV, and he was playing on a channel that nobody has. Like, it's so impressive to me. I can't wait to see how his career just blossoms because I think we're looking at a guy who could be one. Think about what he could be in the NFL, man. He's a special player, and I'm very happy to see USC utilize him in plenty of ways in his debut. That was really encouraging to see, and this is only the beginning. Like that kid's career is going to be nuts.
Yeah.
Most disappointing performance, Bryce.
Outside of USC's defense, I'm gonna go FIU. That was the offense was pretty bad. That whole game was pretty bad, and then right up there on the medal stand is the NBC broadcast. That was not the cleanest. I think they had Joe Montana as a 5-time Super Bowl champion. He's only won 4. The camera inside the booth was pretty shaky the entire time, pre and post game, and I thought Noah Eagle sounded fine, but other than that, I thought the broadcast needed some work.
Talk about that really quick. I do like Eagle. I also really like Jack Collinsworth, who wasn't there. Why? Like, I don't understand. Like, the camera would just spoil that there was a deep shot downfield coming multiple times. It didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Was it like a producer's decision? Like, we already know they're throwing it downfield here, so let's make sure that we're using that camera tracking. And like, I don't understand.
Yeah, the camera angles, I don't know how they're set up. I think they might be slightly different since it's a soccer stadium, but to have that decision of following the ball down, and it wasn't just one time, it was multiple times that they were following the receivers down the field and not sticking on the quarterback or near the line where the play was kind of even happening. They did it on runs, some run plays as well. I just thought overall the broadcast was very
Mediocre.
subpar. Yeah, very mediocre, and obviously I'm not the biggest fan of Jason Garrett, so I don't think many people are. So
what did you think of the score bug that NBC had?
I thought it was clean. I thought it was nice. It was kind of big. But I think I liked it better than the Fox one. That one just it felt a little
Loud.
veering on the towards of like Nickelodeon, cartoonish, kind of having the logos kind of tilted at an angle, and it's like, what are we doing here? I thought it was fine how it was, but yeah.
Karan, what about you for most disappointing performance?
So that
What
again?
most disappointing performance?
Oh, there's a couple to choose from here. But I'll go with Ohio. It just
Dude, okay.
there's a couple obvious ones there. But just in general, I think Ohio was the most disappointing for me watching it. Rourke goes down early and it just looked like they had no idea what to like. They hadn't prepared at all for any situation where he isn't like leading the offense. CJ Harris came out through 41 passes. Nobody wants to see that. And yeah, that felt like such a winnable game for them. And I think with Curtis, they probably do win it. And it sucks to see them lose in such a close fashion nonetheless.
The touchdown that they gave up to end the first half. Zeros on the clock.
Yeah, it was just like the most heartbreaking possible outcomes at like every
Yeah,
corner.
it was tough.
Sucks for them.
At least that ref took a ball off the face from Jalen, man. That was sick. Most disappointing performance, man. I don't know. I was gonna cheat and say the score bugs because I felt like both. There's both extremely mediocre, so whatever. I think it has to be Louisiana Tech. Like that, you won by 5 against a team who threw for 4 passing yards. It was an absolute disaster class from both teams, as we said. But for a Louisiana Tech team that a lot of us were looking to take a step forward and show some good promise in another season of Cumbie, it wasn't there. That was terrible. I wouldn't feel good leaving it a rating of 1 star out of 10. It was much worse than that. They need to be a lot better, and I don't know if it gets better against Preston and SMU. Golly, man, that was terrible. Player who stood out to you the most?
I'll go Tyson Fumachan for me. I thought, what UMass had in the past, I thought he's definitely an upgrade for them. And his running ability, I thought can make a much more of a difference in that offense going forward. And I think that UMass's offense will be better for it.
I'll go with Branch. We already talked so much about him, but it's just like it's gonna be crazy watching that guy over the next like 3-4 years. It's sky's the limit there. He could be Jalen Waddle, he could be Tyreek Hill, he could be Percy Harvin. It's all like that was a phenomenal performance.
He could be Zachariah Branch as well.
He could indeed be Zachariah Branch.
He could. It's going to be Shager for me. Just yeah, it's a loss. It's also at the SEC schools undergoing renovations and everything, but he looked really good and he ignited a lot of hope into that Hawaii program in a 7-point loss. We've talked about him a lot tonight as well, and it's because he deserves it. It was very reminiscent of just watching these Hawaii gunslingers in years past and just chucking it downfield and thriving. Accuracy, so precise. It was really fun to watch. I can't wait to watch them now the rest of the season, starting with the upcoming game against Stanford. Karan with an absolute laser there that Shager was going to break out in a massive way. Biggest takeaway from week 0 before we gap on out here?
I thought Conference USA was going to be a lot more fun, and it was not. It was not fun. Very much fun. A whole lot yesterday. I mean, Jacksonville State. Welcome to FBS, as you said. That was probably the best performance of the day for Conference USA. But when me and George did the preview, we were like, "Oh, there's going to be a lot of points being scored." because there's some good offenses and some really bad defenses, and yeah, it was not a lot of points being scored yesterday.
Nope, we'll have to rely on Liberty and Western Kentucky for plenty of those. How about you, Karan? Biggest takeaway?
Biggest takeaway for me, honestly, I didn't hear the last year, my stuff got up, but yeah, I think between Hawaii and Vanderbilt, I mean, those two teams have made a lot of progress, and there is a possibility where two teams that, for the most part, the last few years have been bottom dwellers, teams that have been like the back of a lot of jokes, free wins. I think at least one of those two teams could end up being a solid middle of the pack to contending team in the near future.
Yeah, my biggest takeaway is that USC really is losing 3 games this season. That defense cannot be in the mix enough. Like we've talked about so much, that defense is such a disaster. It's a very bad situation, and if SC need the issue here with SC is that first half of the schedule, the first 6 games, they should be 6-0. They should be fine. Grinch isn't really going to be on the hot seat or anything. This is a guy that should be fired before the season ends. You should want to fix this product a lot earlier than you would think the eventual firing comes after a season or something, right? But you have Caleb Williams, you have the best player in college football. I would be trying to do everything I can to set him up for the most success possible, set myself up for the most successful outcome possible in the program and everything. I'd be looking to get a different defensive coordinator in there as soon as possible. They're not going to do it. It's a mistake. Grinch is going to really hinder them from being something special. So way to go, man. Thank you, Lincoln. Yeah, that'll do it for us. Week 0 in the books. Week 1 on the horizon. Can't wait. Some good games that will be plenty of fun to watch. So thank you all for joining me tonight. If you're still listening, watching on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe, leave a comment, and appreciate you so much. So thank you. Have a good rest of your night.